What is up, you beautiful people out there on the internet? It is I, Michael Shockman, here with our next episode of Middle Earth Explained, where we dive into the itsy bitsy nitty gritty of Middle Earth and all the wonderful things therein. This week on Middle Earth Explained, we are going to be diving in to the gods of Middle Earth, those divine beings who, through one way or another, created, influence, and shake and move the lives and things of their followers in the world of Arda, that being the world of Middle Earth. Really quick before we dive into things, if you wouldn't mind doing me two really quick favors, it'll just take a second. First, please be sure to smash the like button and hit the subscribe button. It helps out immensely with the algorithm here on YouTube, so thank you so much in advance. Secondly, please be sure to comment down below with, are you a fan of the Mayar? Are you a fan of the big boy god, Eru Iluvatar, or are you a fan of the Valar? Leave a comment down below. I'd really appreciate to hear from you. And with that out of the way, folks, we are going to dive into today's episode of Middle Earth Explained, where we discuss gods. Here we go. Alright, so there technically are three forms of gods. And unfortunately, guys, I'm sorry, I'm not going to go through all of them. There are way too many. There aren't countless numbers, but there are way too many for me to go over in one video. So I'm just going to kind of, I hope you'll forgive me if I just kind of summarize the gods here and whatnot in their three forms. The three forms being, first and foremost, the big bad boy, or big good boy, depending on how you think about it. Eru Iluvatar, the creator god of Arda, the guy who created the heavens and the earth, and the one who first lit the two lanterns and torches at the ends of the world of Arda, and who kind of precedes and presides over all. This is kind of what I guess you could consider the like the creator god. So whether you want to go with a more monotheistic religion, or whether you want to go through D&D version, that would be Ao or Io, depending on how you want to pronounce it. Or if you're more of like the Greek type of persuasion, it would be akin to like the late classical period dealings of Zeus as the one creator god. So yeah, that's kind of cool. Secondly, the second form of gods that we have in Arda, in the world of Middle Earth, are the Valar. Now, these are the main gods, the high gods, who are mainly worshipped by, and were the ones who created, after a fashion, the elves. It's actually the elves get their power from the Valar. And the Valar are, I believe there are many of them, but I think there are like 7 main ones. And the elves are the Valar are very much like the Olympians. They're very much, if Eru Iluvatar is more like the creator god who created everything, then the Valar are his first children, his first set of children. And they are very much like they're very much like the actual gods of the world. If Iluvatar was the creator, these are his administrators. One of them, Melkor, was actually when he fell to Earth, actually became the leader Morgoth, who was later the Dark Lord, the first Dark Lord during the First Age, and that whole thing. And then later became the patron power of Sauron. So this kind of leads us into the third and final version of the gods, which are called the Mayar. Now, the Mayar, as many of you may or may not know, are like demigods or angels. They're very much the lesser gods and the gods who take mortal form. And they're very much like just like that. They're like angels. They're basically like superhuman beings. So I guess in that regard, they could be considered demigods. And notable versions of them would be Gandalf the Grey, Radagast the Brown, Saruman the White, and the Two Blueses. They were mortal beings of the Mayar. and they took mortal form and took on different names in order to better influence and persuade the peoples of Middle Earth to do better in their lives. Kind of as a summary, the gods of Middle Earth are both at once very, very Christianized in our own world, while at the same time having a lot more to do with like ancient Greek mythology. Whereas, so you have the creator god, that being the big Christian part. Then you've got the Valar, who are very much like the pantheistic Greek Olympians, and then you've got the Mayar, who are at once both like demigods as well as like angels. And yeah, it just shows how from the top to the bottom, Arda, the world of Middle Earth, is very much a fantasy recreation and facsimile of our own world. So that's going to about do it for today's episode on the gods of Middle Earth, folks. Thank you so much for joining me. Hope the audio quality is a little bit better. I'm sorry if it's a little off or a little weird. I am having to use my old headset, so there might be a little bit of extra noise. I apologize if that's the case. Come to find out that this mic that I'm using now is basically like a miniature boom mic on my face, which is why you'll see it right here, so far away from my face, because otherwise it picks up everything and it just sounds bad. Anyway, folks, stay tuned for next week's episode when we dive not into the next set of races, but we instead start taking a look at a different series because this week's episode of Middle Earth Explained finishes the first season of Middle Earth Explained. Next week we're going to be diving more into a sci-fi type of thing. We're going to be focusing on Star Trek, going over and starting the Star Trek Explained and whatnot series they're in. So stay tuned for that. Last but not least, before we sign off, please be sure to follow the links down in the description. You know what they do, you know where they go, you know what to do. I'm Michael Shockman, I've been your host and commentator, and remember, as always, guys, keep it real, keep it safe, keep it healthy, and we'll see you guys again soon in the Institute. Bye-bye, guys.